Have you ever seen a luxury car pass by and go, oh, I want a piece of that? How about a really small piece? A piece that everyone has. You can start out on the ground floor today and stay there forever. It's called an economic system known as communism. Join us. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. We're back with another episode. A beautiful concept known as communism. Is there a direction you would... Bob.
I'm not gonna pick a side.
Bob says niet.
Have a little drinky drink tonight.
A smear of...
Well, not necessarily name brand, but it does
Smurf.
Certain nationalities.
Smurf vodka.
Yeah.
Made
Cheers.
from potatoes.
Yes. Very popular drink in...
Druska.
Mm-hmm.
So do you...
That's what I'm saying here.
Do you have any directions, any idea where you'd like to go tonight?
Tonight, I'd like to talk about a little bit about socialism, maybe even a little bit about communism, maybe a little bit about capitalism, some pros and cons. I'd like to talk about how I'd like to just say mean things about Russians for a while if we get a chance later in the episode.
Okay. What about, I guess, living in communism and, like, the feeling of utter dread and despair that probably comes with the shitty government and superior lack of control?
Got it. Sorry, trying to drop an ice cube in there.
Yeah, I see. And it's vodka, I guess, is ubiquitous there because it's maybe the only drink they have. Who knows?
The only drink worth drinking.
Yeah. So cool. You want to start out with what is communism?
I do. I would love to.
What is it?
Definitions are my thing.
Yeah.
And don't mind this. I've been crying for days on end. That's why my eyes are so red.
Yeah, I'm not bothered by it at all.
Good. I'm glad you're not. Or the red marks on my eyes. Red everywhere.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. Weird.
Get some Visine.
Yeah. Communism is from the Latin word commune. Commons. I can't pronounce. I never took Latin. It means common or universal. It's a philosophical, social, political, and economic ideology.
Ideology.
First coined by...
Oh, that guy.
Victor de Houpe. D''Houpe. 1777. He's a good... He listens to the podcast, actually.
Yeah,
good guy. He's a French philosopher. He was talking about the commune. It was this idea that all the people could work together, share from each other's benefits, and they would all have like equal ground.
Push your mic back like an inch.
Is it crack-a-lacking?
It's cracking a little bit. It's a bit.
We should have done a level test, probably.
I don't know what it changes. But
my loudness, maybe?
I don't know. You get excited easily.
I get excited once we talk about communism. Pew! Through the roof.
So you used that before, and I said 1515. Thomas More had an island that was like a utopia, and it turned out that it shit itself and turned into dystopia, and then no one could live on the island anymore.
That sucks.
Downward spiral. But is the idea? Do you have an idea why?
I mean, I do, because if everyone's equal, then the person who's pulling the least weight is really pissing off the person pulling the most weight. Like someone who does work nonstop on the island or the commune is really pissed at the person who just sits on their ass all day and maybe drinks or does nothing. Like he's getting all the same benefits. Like you don't get anything extra out of it. We're all sharing it equally.
Yeah, so
maybe
that's the main idea of communism, right? Is that you're sharing everything with everybody. Right. Everybody's working towards a goal, and then everyone's taking from that goal. And people are not ideas, so you have people that don't fit into the ideological communism. Communism.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if you were the wealthy guy and they took all your wealth? Probably pretty.
I would love
it. You'd be like,
yes.
What if you were the poor guy and you got wealth from it? That sounds like a good idea.
Love it. Yeah, it does.
So what is?
I agree with all these things.
So living in, say, communist Russia in like the 1980s, I think communism fell in 1989-ish.
Yeah, somewhere in the 89-ish range.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down your balls.
I think the Berlin Wall came down in that.
Oh, yeah. Too. I think it did.
So I was watching a video of people going to a grocery store, and I remember this from, I think one of the Russian presidents came to the United States to view NASA. Like he toured NASA and was like, okay, this is pretty good. And what really amazed him is he stopped in the supermarket and he just wandered the aisles for like hours because he was fascinated at the variety and like all the possibilities that you could buy.
That's a thing of capitalism, I guess, huh?
Yeah, market tension. You get people that are trying to do better than the other, and then that spurs creativity and more options, and then choices that the consumer can make and not just the government. Because
that is interesting.
In those Russian supermarkets, you were allotted a certain amount.
What food?
Yeah, you got like a meat, a dairy, and then I guess you would get like a bread, like a staple. And then they also had like, I was watching a video and they had like these really shitty like pre-made meals that looked like MREs alongside like this like meat that was like poorly wrapped, and then these like bins. So like if you were to imagine like a warehouse, that's what their supermarket is. Like it's just boxes of stuff, and they would like cut open a box and like everyone got one.
Does everyone have to go get it at once? I'm just curious.
I think they were given like fake money. Like they give like
like a coupon or something, and you bring it in, and it's good for one meal voucher. One milk, one bread.
There's one little girl checking out, and she had like 3 bags of like what looked like brightly colored green. So I assume it was like good food or candy. And like the dad, he was speaking Russian, so I couldn't understand, but he was like, "You got to put those 2 back." And she was like kept clutching them, and I was like, I can't imagine, like, my son wants everything, and, like, certain things are better than others. And I can't imagine having your kid, like, go to a grocery store and not want anything because it looks like crap.
I want this. Don't you want anything? No. Please no.
So that is, like, one aspect that the government is in control, and they do a shit job of it. Like, government control.
They have so many different sectors.
I thought I heard music. Is that you? Is that next door?
That's next door, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Well, anyway, rockin' party here at the Unpanders.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't hear music.
She was listening to the sound of my voice. I'm like a canary. Beautiful song.
There's other birds I would use. Squawkier ones.
Yeah.
More shrill. Interesting.
So,
but you were in the middle of a sentence, and I was going to say something.
Do you trust the government to make decisions for you?
No, but I think that they're going to do better in some sectors, worse than other sectors. I think there's some towns that they care less about, and some they care more about just by human nature.
Now, what if everyone had to have a job, and then they were forced into a government job they didn't want? Do you think that person will do a good service for the people that they're serving?
No, I don't think so.
Doesn't that destroy the idea of communism?
No, I mean, there's counterbalances to all of that. I mean, we're not going to get into it until we get to capitalism, but communism is essentially something that benefits the lazy. Capitalism is something that benefits the greedy who already have money.
Yeah, there's a net that needs to be cast to protect the people that just can't work, like they have mental.
But there has to be
problems.
A way to get people who are just going to do less than the bare minimum and take advantage of the system.
So we talked a little bit about the negatives. Do you have any more negatives to add of communism?
I was actually going to talk about more of the history of it, but let's go to negatives. Negatives. No, I love negatives.
Oh, you love communism. Okay.
It's my favorite thing.
What about positive? Quick positive? Like getting...
I guess the idea of it is positive. There you go. I don't know that it ever actually works out.
I will say
it's
that
a good idea.
Communist governments can make their people do an inordinate amount of work towards a common goal. So, like, if you want to be like a space race,
the regulating the work kind of. Yeah.
You could force them to be working towards something that they don't want to work towards, but they will anyway because they're hungry. Their basis of existence relies on doing that one thing that the government wants them to do.
Do you think in a communist society, people are less individualistic? Like there are fewer...
So I was listening to testimonials.
Extremes of creativity? Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to step out of line because there's only one view. And a lot of the times that view is taught in schools, and then if there's someone who's a dissident who is like, I don't think this is the history that you're supposed to teach, like in Soviet communist Russia, they would listen in on the people that were dissidents and then report back to the government about them. Because literally anything that you have a comment on is government controlled. Like, you don't like this food, you don't like your car, your house, or anything.
You talk out against any policy or anything.
They said that it really boiled down to like 1 in 7 people were like a government spy.
Oh,
so like
that's a lot of employment, though.
Yeah,
kudos to them on finding jobs we can all agree on. Yeah,
keeping your people in check, and then
being a narc, being a big old narc. Well,
history.
I had all this history. Yeah, just a little bit. It's kind of boring, but 1917 was around the time of the October Revolution.
Bolsheviks?
And Lenin's Bolsheviks. Hell yeah. They, right then there was a revolution of sorts. Mm-hmm. The proletariat, which were the working class, people with dirty fingers. Is that what you said?
Yeah, there was they would bring the people out in the streets, and if they were a higher caste, they never worked the fields or anything that was industrialized, so their hands would be milky white, and then they would kill them because they didn't have any calluses on their hands. Which I don't have very many calluses either. I have one. Weird. No, two, but one per hand.
The slogan was peace, bread, and land.
Space, bread, and land, or peace?
Peace, bread, and land. I'm sorry, I was breaking out. The internet must be going wonky.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah. The Soviet Union was formed in 1922 after World War I. You got that?
Yeah, Soviet Union, 1922 after World War I. I got that.
And it lasted all the way until it fell in December of 1991. Isn't that wild?
That is a long time. That's 70 years.
Yeah. It's actually probably a fairly successful run. And it was, didn't they, before World War I, they weren't a superpower. They were kind of just a poor country. They worked pretty hard in one direction and became the superpower of, like, Europe almost, right?
Yeah.
One of the, I mean, not the, but you go from a zero to a pretty big player.
Yeah.
One of the most dangerous players.
That's true. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I'll give him a little credit. Didn't work out, but he went up against Rocky Balboa, you know?
You were in the ring with Rocky. Capitalism.
Yeah. You were, oh my God, I forget his name.
Ivan.
If he dies, he dies.
Grigorovich or something.
Drago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
If he dies. Such good stuff. Good writing.
Good history, Kevin.
Good history. Real quick, I guess we can touch on Marxism, because a lot of people talk about Karl Marx.
Sure.
Karl Marx, he wrote a whole bunch of papers, essays, really riveting stuff. And he believed that all of this stuff, that society would go through these pockets of change, and that communism was just a phase, that it was that you develop through material conditions rather than ideas. It was Marx's big idea. He said that as your technology changes, your culture will change. As your availability to transport goods changes, your culture will change. Like, you will move to communism when you need communism. Usually, communism was used when you need to overthrow the government or you need change and the people need strength, because at some point the top becomes so strong that the bottom can't control anything. So then 1%. The bottom rises up, right?
Or the 0.1%.
A little bit of the 1%, right? So a lot of people think he's just communism, but I think he believed in if you read more of his stuff, more cyclical view. He worked with a guy named Engel, and Engel got no credit, which I thought was awesome. You just hear about Marxism.
Wealth inequality.
They believed in
talking about.
Yeah, and they believed in scientific socialism. Just a few points they put down was that social progress is driven by productive forces, technology, labor, and capital goods. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Humans are involved in the productive relations. There's divisions of labor. There's leaders, there's business people, there's peons, there's workers, and these divisions kind of separate us. So a manager doesn't get the same treatment or the same payment as the guy working the mill. That just sounds like common knowledge, but that divides us. So then there are wealthy, there are non-wealthy, there are working class, there are bourgeois, proletariat.
Mm-hmm.
The relations of production actually further everyone in their own direction. So they said that like the rich would get richer.
Yep.
Poor tend to stay poor. And then he ended up down at the last one. State power is usually only transferred by social or political upheaval because the people who have power like to keep power. So upheaval is the only way to change it.
Yeah. So the Obama's 2014 State of the Union address, they're reporting that the distribution of wealth was that the top 1% possessed 40% of the nation's wealth. So almost a third of the wealth was concentrated at the top 1%. And then vice versa, for the bottom 80%, they only own 7% of the wealth.
Wow.
It's a crazy
distribution. That's wild in that what we were just talking about, not just you can't buy things, like forget that, the ability to have nicer cars or a nicer house. You can't affect political change. You can't affect the laws. You can't affect the day-to-day stuff. You can't change society without that power.
Yeah.
Right. Which is fascinating, but he's on to something a little bit. I did want to make a point that Engels, in all of his essays, one of the ones they copied was to Paul Barth. It was one of the people he worked for. He wrote an essay. If this man, Paul Barth, he did all these studies, and if you skip steps and you abuse the power of this communism, this upheaval, it can be turned in the wrong direction. Like we were mentioning, it's like a singularity of mind. Mm-hmm. You're giving the government enough control, even though the government's for the people, it can be put to abuse. I thought that was really cool because I went to school with Paul Barth. Like literally, he was in my grade school. So shout out Paul. I thought he was the only one, but apparently, how crazy would it be if Paul Barth I went to school with was like this guy's great grandson.
You're so narcissistic that you just name everyone Paul Barth continually, even the girls.
But I don't know. I think it could be him.
Could be.
I went to grade school with the guy. That's so cool. Yeah. It came full circle. So
Marx is really touching on. Yeah, he's touching on like the volatility of nations as well as like going back and forth between ideologies to favor the people versus the government versus the concentration of wealth. So it could be that you go from communism to capitalism to either like late stage capitalism, which is
what's late stage capitalism? Is that coming up?
That's the
what about later?
That's the concentration of wealth, so that the people who are on the bottom, they're really indentured servants, so they can't possibly speak over the ice cubes that are.
It's one ice cube. It was stuck at the bottom. It was stuck, Your Honor.
So
there's murdered on a podcast.
It's exactly like student debt. Like we should touch on this, like wage slaves.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah. So you get forced into a system that you cannot get out of because it's advantageous for the people that are already on the top. Because the people that are already on the top can cause you to have debt, and they can cause you to have interest, and then you'll never pay it off, even though you're working harder than the people at the top.
Yeah, but who votes and actually changes the laws on student loans? I mean, it's the people, like the regular, everyday jamokes.
No, it's not politicians
Not
that
at
are
all.
bribed and bought off by the
It's
corporations.
not politicians. It's not people who work for Sally Mae, Fannie Mae, Ginny Mae. I'm going to name them all again. They're sucking buttholes out there, folks. They're just... Anyway, we touched on that in a previous episode. If you want to hear a little bit more about the student loan crisis, you can click right here where the Unpanders did an episode on student loan crisis with a special guest. That was a great episode.
Yeah, it's
You might
good.
want to check it out, folks. Moving on.
So yeah, so you get some weird kind of like socialism, liberalism, like I don't know where we want to go from here. It can go in any direction you want.
I know. Well, I didn't want to get to capitalism so soon, but maybe we are. You want to talk about socialism versus communism?
Well, we can talk. Well, socialism is like you have certain programs that cover people to protect them from, I don't know, like health mishaps and
Yeah, that makes sense.
old age. So what do we do that's socialist in this country, in the U.S., that...
Social security.
Yeah. So Social Security will cover you if your spouse dies. It will pay... Yeah, it will pay your widow and pay for some of your children. You get a little bit.
Cool.
And also, if you get disabled, if you're unable to work, it will pay a little bit, cover you there. And if you once you get to full retirement age, or I think it's 62 now, you can take a percentage.
62, I think you can start. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're covered, so you're not destitute in a time when you're disadvantaged, I would say. Unable to work, unable to contribute to society.
Right. That makes sense. It also works for people with, as you mentioned, certain disabilities. What about injury at the workforce?
Like workers' comp?
Yeah, but that's just by the individual companies, I guess.
Well, I think there's a federal program associated with that
Is there?
covers.
Okay, that's what I
It's
thought.
like unemployment too. Like
Unemployment.
yeah. So there's a lot of
Well,
variety of things.
all the welfare programs, right?
Yeah. So
Ones
it's
we
like
touched on in a previous episode.
is everything that like hitting
You can
bottom.
click right here. We did a previous episode on all the welfare programs, on all the different subsistence programs. It was a great episode.
Yeah. Medicare, Medicaid covers the health part of it. Then there's like Section 8 housing. So people who can't afford, food stamps, they can't afford housing, all that stuff can be covered for them for a period of time to get them out of that.
Low income housing.
You're trying to remember what it was in the episode?
Yeah, I remember all the acronyms, and the one was low income heating housing. LIAHEAT. Damn.
LI.
Low income heating program or something. LIP. I don't know. It wasn't that. Damn. I was just trying to remember from the episode. Well, I'll have to click it. Add a view to that page. Just add a view.
Look at our previous episode.
We covered it thoroughly.
Third episode that we've already talked about. And then
So this is all socialism, these programs we're talking about?
Yeah, socialistic programs to protect society. That's the goal. There's also elements to, I guess, our government that provide other, like, I guess military is also kind of like a program to protect us.
I could see that.
And then...
If you stretch the definition, that's fine.
Yeah, and education. So it's like it's necessary for us to have a basic level of education so that we can teach ourselves what we want to do in life, because we don't really...
Do some places... I didn't even consider that.
Well...
Is education not free everywhere?
It's depending... So like in a Russian society, the education was built on lies. So a lot of them were told lies, and it took them many years after they were done with their education to figure out that, the truth was not what they were told in history class.
Yeah, you're probably getting that in like certain sections of China, though, and certain, you know what I mean, where they have to keep, because otherwise people will be, I'm curious, let's check into that. No. He played soccer. He's incredible. I'm thinking of North Korea. He scored 6 goals against the one team. He scored 6 goals? Oh, yeah. The only time it ever happened.
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah.
Wasn't
his dad? Actually, was that his dad who was into that?
I have no idea. It's like I almost said Stalin. No, who's the... God damn it.
Played ice hockey?
Yeah, they let him score.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Of course they let him score. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? Wait, what is his name? Holy crap, we're going brain dead in the middle of the episode.
You are going brain dead.
This is incredible. I would be
Vladimir Putin.
Putin.
God damn it.
Vlad.
Hey,
Vlad.
yeah, he's probably watching right now. They let him score. Yeah, because they're afraid of him.
Yeah, I'm not. Can you imagine if someone just went up the middle and laid the boom on Vlad? Like, seriously, what would happen? How quick would he be dead?
He would never leave the stadium.
That would be awesome. He'd be a legend. And dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if someone videotaped it, you couldn't live that down. Oh my God, that would be so good.
So that's
worth a life.
So that falls under like free action, which is not. I don't know. That's defined. It's almost like free speech with using your body.
Well, in a sport, it's different because it's legal in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you legally blew him up.
Yeah,
he's got the puck. His head's down. He's moving real slow. He's the president. Don't mess with Vlad. And this dude just comes flying out of the corner, just trucking full speed. He doesn't care if the puck's even going to be there by the time he hits him. Lowers the shoulder right into the center of his body and just demolishes Putin. Oh my God. I would pay money to see that.
Celebrity challenge.
Celebrity challenge. We're bringing them back, folks.
Challenge Ovechkin.
You or anyone you know.
Oh.
Just lay out the president of Russia. Just do it. We're going to donate all the funds to charity. We want you to videotape it, and we will
not have you arrested.
And not have you arrested and sentenced to death.
We will smuggle you out of the country.
We will do our best to smuggle you out of the country. Our best, in quotes.
And when I say we, I mean mostly Nick. He'll be there.
I will
to support you until the end
every
of
week
your life.
Anyway. Me and my man Bobrovsky.
So there's.
What was Bobrovsky? Is he Russian?
I think he was.
I almost feel like he's like Czech or something. That's weird.
Make me look at it.
Sergei Bobrovsky. He says niet. I don't know that he is. I mean, this is a hell of a design. Look at that. It's a goalie mask and a hammer. And
He's Russian.
Oh, okay. Shout out. Did he win MVP that 1 year?
I think he did.
He almost did. He was a runner-up. Vezina, probably. He probably just got Vezina.
Yeah, who cares about that?
Who cares about best goalie?
So, free speech. So, is it possible in a communistic country to have free speech? You can't talk about.
Guess not, but do we have it entirely?
We're in a weird state where we're relying on technology to provide us with a voice, and the technology is owned by corporations and private hands. So this is kind of a weird junction in time, which I will segue into. It's kind of how the Soviet Union came down, because people on the inside had no clue what was happening, but then you started to get TV. Internet did not happen yet, but you had different sources of broadcasting that would finally break through the wall.
Their way in.
The physical barriers did not matter. So you could understand that you were at a disadvantage by living in a communist country and say, well, I want that. I want that luxury car. I want to be able to live life. Woo.
Interesting. So do you think that's going to happen eventually to China and countries that censor their internet hardcore?
So there's a weird thing that's happening with China with the people who are actually killing it in China. They're making a lot of money. It's not a true communist society because there are people that are at the top that are just reaping all the benefits of being head honchos.
Right, but I mean that's so. We're getting into another thing: whether communist states are actually communism.
Yeah,
there's communist state, and we say we're a communist state, but really we have.
Does the political leader live like a person that?
No, of course not. So no one's really. Everyone that fails that's communism isn't really communism anyway. But it's impossible to assume no one's going to take more than someone else.
That's like Kim Jong-un. When people would go there, they would have this fake setup of look at our glory. They would have all the grocery stores and plastic fruits and stuff, and
so it looks great.
Yeah, they would only let you see a 1% of the country.
One room they had prepped.
Yeah, the rest of the rooms are probably empty.
Of course, that was like that for that. Remember the Russian Olympics? Ironically enough,
Sochi?
Soho? No,
Sochi.
Yeah. And that whole city was set up just for the Olympics. and all the stories that were coming out, like wolves were wandering the halls in one place. There were people starving like a block and a half away from like where like vendors were set up, and like it was just wild. They moved everything all at once. Is that a product of socialism or just a product of countries who are a-holes in general? I guess it's socialism too, because
combination of the Olympics
you control. Yeah, and you want to show off. It's your thing. It's the Olympics. It's a lot of stars coming in.
That's
all I had. Great episode.
Yeah. Well, like everyone in this country has something different, so they have a variety. I don't know how you would ever level the like playing field by saying, "Oh, you all get the same living quarters."
You couldn't without a revolt. No, you couldn't without a revolt. So, do all the houses in Russia get built the same? Ish.
Well, the descriptions I've had were like gray and like almost like tenement houses. So like basic living conditions. Like if you're going to provide for your people in your country and it's going to be meeting some requirement or a set of requirements, then you're just going to meet the requirements and say, we did it.
Okay.
We did it, government.
If you want to spend more on your house, you can though? Do you think?
I don't think you can. You don't own it. You don't have private property.
Ah, so that is interesting. You don't have private property. So that's a big sticking point of socialism in general versus capitalism in general. Or maybe not socialism, definitely communism. I wasn't sure about socialism. But communism and capitalism, the government owns all the land, essentially.
Yeah, and also there's like a weird, like if you want a car and they only make so many cars a year and they can't produce enough for everyone and you have to wait your turn, there's a weird kind of balance that happens. Like in Cuba, they have separate money.
Picks?
Yeah, they have separate money.
Oh, yeah, compensation picks. This is like the NFL, baby.
Yeah.
Now you're talking my language. You didn't get a draft pick? Oh, you lost a first-round pick? You get compensatory picks. That's a third-round pick in 2020 and a fourth-round pick in 2021. Bingo.
Yeah, so people that could get the car like this year would say, well, I don't need the car this year, but I can give you the car since you're going to wait another 2 years. That's worth a certain amount of other money. Why don't you give me that other money and then we can negotiate?
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom. So you get a dual economy that happens in communism that the communists can't talk about, but is necessary for the economy to function.
So they do have richer and poorer folk over there.
Yeah.
Somebody's saving up them last year's models.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Pay me down the line. Roll it over. I got big cash coming back to me in communism. Weird.
It's scary to think of an entire country run without the creative desire to do something without. Like, you can do things with purpose or without purpose, and that's, I think, either way is fine. But to be driven by someone else's purpose, by like a singular purpose, is kind of scary.
I agree.
Because you're vetted to be a certain thing. If you're intelligent, then you can be, a scientist, but you could never be dumb and go through the school system and then become a scientist later because your path is already projected out. How would you feel if your path was set and the government said, no, you can't. There's no way.
I'm going to say something crazy to you because you don't think in these terms ever, but I think you're thinking of it in a very flat way. I think you could be set to be a scientist and it's already set. You don't have to worry about it. And there's some people who are like, this is boring, but I'm going to be creative as hell. I'm going to do all these crazy, wicked, weird things. I think there's a percentage of them that are just like, this is dope as hell. I'm going to get paid to do this. I barely know what Scientology is. It's a religion. And they're like, whatever. And then there's like probably a whole branch of them that are like, really don't care. They kind of barely do their work and like do whatever. Almost like I would look over at capitalism, say they're terrible. Their doctors just get paid to be doctors and pretend to do this and that. When really, if you break each group down, there's probably like a third of this, a third of this, a third of this, a quarter of this. I mean, you really break it down, you can really find minutia. So I'm sure this happens in the other countries. Overall, it might not be good. But I mean, to say that in general, if you were given a job, and you were guaranteed it, and it was guaranteed money and didn't make any more money, would you work harder? I think if you lived in that life and there were thousands of other people like you, you'd find your own niche. I mean,
you would give up on progression and accept whatever was.
No, not necessarily. I mean, you would do something else.
As best as you could.
Yeah, you would, but you would also be doing something else. And if you really were passionate about it, I mean, what I'm saying is it's not that much different than if we grew up there and we did it. Do you think we'd end up boring and like shellless just because we were predetermined? I don't think so.
I don't know that we would be doing this, actually.
No, we would.
We couldn't have a podcast.
The government would shut this down immediately. They would, unless they looked and they didn't have a video feed.
I was thinking like our internet is probably dropping out because we're saying communism every 2 seconds. So it's like somebody's interfering.
Didn't we do the last episode without any interruptions?
There's no interruptions. And every time we say communism, it's like...
Communism. 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 Communism.
Someone was saying that,
you know, like you say a word enough.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, but I never did it with Beetlejuice because I was afraid 3 times was enough. But anyway.
Yeah, there's a crack in that door.
No, that was earlier.
Right behind you.
Go on.
So,
go off, King.
You were touching on like professions, and I guess the risk versus reward is never there, because if I want to become a doctor and they say, well, you have to take on a bunch of debt, but you get to pay it back in a very short time period, and then you could retire at like in your 30s. I think if I had that mindset that like this is going to happen and I can do it, I would do it. Like, but that's not what most Americans do. I don't think they are aware that there's like a long-term plan that lasts years. I think most Americans are probably on the basis of maybe months, how long they can survive. So,
makes sense.
But in communism, I don't know. I feel like you would get selected to do like an intelligence-based job, and then you would serve your time until it was time not to do that. And the government would tell you everything about what you were going to do.
Here, and I think I figured out the difference between me and you. I think you would.
I would what?
Not in a bad way. You would do that. You're literally
be the highest level job.
Sure, but you'd also be like, well, I gamed it out. This is the game plan. What else could I be doing?
Black market shit, like, where you're trading.
Sure, and I think that's where ridiculous. You might go. You might, because you're trying to game another system. Like me, I don't care about gaming the system. Like, I could care less if the job, my deliveries job, paid as much as a doctor or something or whatever. Like, I think I would continually do it and make not the best of it, because I don't want to sound like make the best of it. Unlike you, asshole. Like, I'm not saying that, but I would. Yeah,
you'd
enjoy it. I would be a part of it. I would do it. I don't know.
And at the end of the day, you'd sit down and you'd pull up a bowl of borscht and you'd be like, "Oh, this is exactly what I wanted in life."
Maybe. I have no idea. I really might.
Suck down that bowl of borscht.
I might really be a borscht guy. I've never had borscht. I'm really stuck on the borscht.
Have your portion of borscht.
Portioned borscht. I really didn't get to do this.
Yeah.
I came across a website and I got in touch with the guy.
Oh yeah.
His name was Peter Checker. I couldn't spell it if I tried because it's missing most of the vowels.
What's the website? What's it
about? I wrote it down. It's called commie-comrade-con.com. Okay. Everyone write this down. commie-comrade-con.com. If you use the coupon code better read than dead, you notice it's a play on words, because usually it's better dead than red. Well, there's this better red than dead. That's our coupon code here, folks. You can get them to make you everyday items, but they turn them red. My kid got Cool Ranch Doritos. Look at this. They made them red. I asked for a black Sharpie. Guess what color they gave it to me in? I said, are you sure it's a black Sharpie? They said, absolutely, sir. We can write in this. It's black. Neosporin. That's weird. Neosporin's never this color. Red. I even got a candle. It's called Fresh Comrade. This one smells like Russian armpit.
Wow.
I've yet to light it, but I think it's going to be pungent. Anyway, go to comradecon.com, not com.con, and do the coupon code Better Red Than Dead. And tell them the Pander sent you, and you can get anything. My kid wanted a guitar. He said a green guitar. Guess what, kid? It's red. My girlfriend needed some weights for lifting. She curls 8s. Embarrassing. She said, can I get some black weights? Yeah, sure. Oops, it's red.
Better red than dead.
So now we get everything there. Nail files, black ink pens. Just go to the website. Check it out. Put in our coupon code.
Yeah.
Mention that we brought you there.
Whenever you need to remodel your house, it's going to be red.
Remodeled red.
Yeah. Nice deep red.
White envelopes. Boom. Red. We're good. So sorry for the aside, folks. Just a little something I came across.
So let's talk about stuff that borders on communism. That in this country, so like the McCarthyists out there who are hunting down the communists among us. What do they hate? What wouldn't they want? Like universal health care?
Absolutely.
So what? Like Medicaid, Medicare are sort of that, but they don't cover everybody.
Right. They don't cover everybody.
Do you think the government would do a good job if that was the case?
They don't already. They don't with capitalism.
I
mean, I'm just saying they wouldn't regardless of the
have
system.
Numbers?
No, I don't.
I do, actually.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
There's a stat that like the federal government, they take in $1 and that dollar turns into 50 cents by the time they spend it. So you get back half of whatever.
By waste?
I guess it's government bloat, bureaucracy. I guess
like the paying the people on the chain or something.
Yeah, what do they call those? Not dog marks, like pet programs. So like everything that doesn't pet programs.
I've never heard this. It sounds like we're going to Petco.
Yeah. So that like by the time the government and the bureaucrats get they're handling money, they suck so much out of it that by the time it gets back to the common man, it's half of whatever it's worth.
No, I'm understanding. I just didn't know.
There's a dog marked programs. I feel like I haven't heard the term in a long time.
Yeah, I feel like you should have researched it tonight.
Yeah, that's okay. So, so that's the federal government. The state government's actually a lot better. So state government can be like, I think the top state government is like 96% efficiency.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Actually, incredibly good.
Yeah, but that was the top out of 50. So you're gonna have some anomalies. But I think the lowest one was in the 70s. So that's kind of awful, but still kind of good. I guess it's better than 50%. So it's kind of weird. It's you're in a weird place that if you want the government to control something, you might as well pay double for it. And we're kind of in that range where healthcare already costs double, so why not let the government do it? It's kind of a good way to think about it.
Yeah, then that would be weird. If it was on their dollar, would they get better at it?
Please send us a check in the mail so that we can then pay your healthcare for you and respond a month later. It's like, well, can I dial 1? Please press 1 for 1. Beep.
Oh, wait. What if the government had to deal with the government? No, I'm serious. Like, what if the government was paying for all this stuff and had to pay themselves? Is there like a 4-month period for like a $30 payment? What was the copay? I'll forward it to my associate officer. Okay, well, you didn't submit Form I-97. Well, we're the government. We do this. Well, you still have to submit Form I-97. Well, actually, to deal with us, you have to have a 44A. Well, we didn't receive your 44A from 2018. Are you sure it's up to date? Oh, it's up to date. Are you sure? And then it would just eventually get louder, and then eventually I don't even know what would happen.
Mike Wazowski. Mike Wazowski. Literally every government employee.
Your silence is really assuring. Something like that.
Yeah, I feel like they would do awfully at it, and there would be no progression into the future, but betterment isn't part of the government. But the idea of it sounds fantastic, right? Everyone's covered. You don't have a problem. You're good. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to do my pitch for Dan, government president of the United States.
Are you doing a 2020 run?
I think I might if I ever hit age 35 by that time period, which I won't. But
damn, so close.
I do feel that if you're going to have a system of healthcare that covers people, you should have it so that if they have catastrophic recoverable injuries, it should be covered. So you should be able to like have a maximum limit for like breaking your leg. Like the government should probably step in and say, we can fix this. It's not a big deal.
$5,000.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just reduce it down to something that's manageable. So it's not crippling debt.
What happens to when every doctor's office or agency starts upping MRIs or starts upping the cost to fix these broken legs though?
Or so if they're not broken legs, they're like, this is a broken leg. I've seen this before. You have a broken leg.
Right. I mean, what's with them gaming the system?
That's true. Like, how do you keep checks and balances on the people that are performing the work? You don't, which is kind of what happens now.
Yes, it is 100%.
The insurance companies will pay out doctors like a fraction of what they charge, and then the people who get the bills who don't have insurance are paying the full amount. It's like, how do you argue
it's
that?
Like, wait a minute. No.
Check this out on our future episode on healthcare.
No, that's that. This is the only episode I don't want to do because it sounds too hard.
It's difficult. It is difficult.
Could you talk about the three? Is it the three big ones?
Like
doctors and doctors' offices, insurance companies, and there's a third one. Who is it?
Medicare, Medicaid? How they negotiate the rates?
Is it just us?
People?
No.
The people?
Government? No, maybe. I forget. Well, for a further episode, check out our future episode whenever it gets recorded. It would end up here-ish or here. Yeah. We'd love to have you folks.
So
back to
meritocracies.
What's meritocracy? Because I almost talked about mercantilism, capitalism,
which is kind of the same thing.
Capitalism.
Mercantile capitalism is the same thing where you're trading amongst different countries. They had like the British were mercantiles; they would trade with India.
Did you know they could buy into boats?
So yeah, this is like you could invest in a company to trade with another country. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, which is badass. Which I don't know if that tied into more capital. I guess that's capitalism, the beginning of capitalism.
Yeah, it's like hedging your bets because if you had a fleet of ships and one of them sunk, but you invested in an entire fleet, then you're covered. You're still going to get some money out of the deal, whatever you're trying to trade.
As opposed to giving all your money or all your pelts that you're sending overseas to one guy and his ship is sank, stolen, he turns tail and runs, you get screwed. You're out all your profits. You're out everything. You're done. It's a little bit like insurance, kind of, or spreading your...
hedging your bets. So it's almost like playing the stock market. Like you own a piece of a company and you can spread it around.
A piece of this.
Yeah, diversification.
You have to do it. Yeah, diversify them bonds, baby. Fuck yeah. Can't believe we waited this many minutes to give a fuck yeah.
Fuck
and it was for diversification. Your bonds.
Oh yeah.
Go off.
Diversify. Hey, baby, I want to diversify your funds.
Do you actually, real quick question. Do you know anyone who ever frowned? Like, really frowned? You know, most people, when they frown, their mouth goes regular. There's one person I actually know who does. He's famous.
I don't recall.
He's a football coach. Bill Cowher, coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, circa... You can type in Bill Cowher frown. Me and my friends used to laugh at this all the time. Bill Cowher would be on the sidelines, and I'd look at his face, and the other team would be kicking a field goal, and he'd be like this. Only human being whose lips actually went down. Because most people, when they're sad or whatever, they're like this. It's pretty straightforward. Like a straight line. Bill Cowher was like a kid could draw that frown, and I'd be like, that's Bill Cowher, kid. You see what I'm talking about?
The people that come up when you type in Bill Cowher frown is, well, Bill Cowher, but
Okay, good. I hope.
mostly Bill
More
Cosby,
Oh man,
and then Bill Clinton.
really?
Yeah,
I wonder why. What's the Bill thing?
I guess it's like the last person to frown comes up in whatever you're searching.
Weird.
And he had the biggest frown of, what, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
He needs some Jell-O.
Oof.
That's a bad joke, but
Billy C. Did he graduate Temple?
I feel like he did.
They had a statue of him. I think they took it down. Which is a weird thing. We can do a whole episode on separating the artist from the art. Where do you fall on that? Like, what if your favorite group, metal group or something, turns out to be like racist?
This
or
was
like,
the Michael Jackson.
Child porn. Oh yeah, Michael Jackson, exactly.
Perfect.
No, 100% perfect.
So Michael Jackson was the biggest star ever in the 80s and 90s? Not 90s,
80s, early 90s. Yeah, we'll give him early 90s. Give him up to 94, man.
But he was a child star.
Free Willy song. That Free Willy song was cool.
Yeah. So he was a child star, and you can't blame him for the stuff he did as a child, even though he was seemingly forced to do it. And then he lost his childhood, and then it ended up being some sort of weird kind of sexual abuse that ended up with...
Was he abused officially?
I don't know that he was abused, but the stories that you hear
supposedly
he was
from a
being
documentary abused verbally and time.
Yeah, he was manipulated
I get that.
for sure to do whatever.
For sure.
He didn't 100%. He didn't understand. Like that happens for children, and it shouldn't happen. But
no, it shouldn't.
Later on, he abused other children, and there's a documentary out there on, I think it's HBO, maybe Amazon.
It's called Neverland or whatever.
Finding Neverland? That sounds about right.
Yeah, something Neverland. Yeah, it has Neverland in the title.
Yeah. So I was recently talking to a couple about this, and they completely disowned Michael Jackson. Like Swingers? All his music. So they completely disowned his music. And were like, I will never listen to a Michael Jackson song again. Like, it's like hearing that about him. And, like, if you like his music, does that mean that you agree with what he did? Like, for one moment in time?
We could do a whole episode on this, dude. I'm telling you, we could do a whole episode on this exact topic. Because I'm of the mind that, no. I mean, if you love the music, the argument against is that the thing that made him make the music was him and his whole life and his being and his everything inside of him and his upbringing and the stuff he was doing on the side. That's somehow may or may not have influenced him to make the song I'm Bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It may have been like an allegory for what he was doing, or maybe not. Maybe it was just completely unrelated.
You're right.
As long as it's not a direct, like, I'm abusing children, like, you should probably stop me, but I'm too big of a superstar, so you can't come after me. Too bad.
Like, what if a child molester goes into Wegmans, right? And, oh, my God, what a selection of teas. Oh, my God, I didn't realize there were this many teas. I want tea, because he drinks tea.
Yeah.
Well, he's looking at all the teas, and he's shopping by price a little bit. He's like, I'm not going to buy the $8 bag. Let's stick to the $5 section. Oh, that's nice wrapping. I could pay $6 for this. He's looking. This is a colorful label. And then he's like, I don't do black tea. I need to do the herbal. Yeah, it's sleepy time tea. Caffeine free? I don't know if I want to do caffeine right now. And he's looking at all these options. Eventually, he's going to pick a Bigelow's green tea, the variety pack, right? Well, did his being a child molester have anything to do with that selection? I don't know. I really don't know. Can we separate the two? Huh. And should we? I have no idea. Because maybe it did somehow.
Maybe there's an extra stage to this.
Something.
That'd be crazy if it's like we get to dissect people's homes. Like the Unabomber, he loved this kind of tea. It's like, do you drink this tea? It's like, we're going to find you. It's like all of these things in common. We're spying on you via Alexa.
Then we're doing causality. We're actually doing the reverse. What if you like Michael Jackson music? Are you more towards child molestation?
Do you agree with what he was thinking, even though you couldn't see or hear it?
even though there was no instance of it. I don't know.
I don't know.
And I'm saying we could do a whole episode on this, but how did we get into?
No idea. I don't know how we recovered.
We gotta get out. Oh boy,
I was gonna go to.
Is different. Mm-hmm.
I guess. Do you have pop stars in Russia? Is there Russian? Are there Russian pop stars? Does that happen? Because that's a purely creative endeavor.
But you can't stop popularity. They have viral videos in Russia, like tons of them. I feel like Banksy's over in Russia somewhere.
He's English, I thought.
He might be, but I think he's in Russia. That's what I'm gathering.
It's a Russian.
I'm basing it on nothing.
Communist pop star. Music in the Soviet Union.
That's so awesome. I bet the government sets up all his lines and everything.
I bet it's like, it's probably dictated.
I love my country. I fight for the country. Let me tell you, girl, about the borscht. It's delicious. I like how I talk like the Count a little bit. I was thinking, one, delicious. 2, 3 bites of the borscht.
I guess they had jazz and the Soviet strata.
Oh, I want to hear like communist jazz. Everyone has to play in the same time tempo. Well, I guess everyone would anyway, but still, it would be really funny if they all had to play the same notes at the same time.
I don't know that I could play it. They do have. I probably won't. I'm gonna go.
Don't play it.
That's depressing. It makes me sad.
All right. Well, it's sad over there. It's cold, too. That's the problem with Russia. We talk about all these countries, communism failing. I mean, it fails for other reasons. Has any of these places failed because they were communist? Or because everything went to shit and people went to shit and things weren't planned for? I don't know that that's a factor of communism. I don't know that communism is good. I'm just saying when people are like, name one time communism worked. Name time anyone worked. I mean, every country eventually fails. Every country eventually falls. Everything breaks apart. I guess England is the only exception. I don't know. And they seem pretty sucky, honestly.
Kind of curious what the oldest country in the world is.
England.
So I guess Portugal?
No. That sounds fake.
1139. Oh, here we go. Maybe this will give me a satisfactory list. Greece? Greece makes sense.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. Didn't they go through like a huge upheaval where it's entirely different country at this point?
Just because it's named the same doesn't mean it's the same.
Exactly.
China, which is isolationist. Well, China's probably the best example.
It is actually probably the best example.
But I don't know if it's
so many changes.
I don't know if it's communism, the People's Republic of China, even though it is communist. It's more of a dictator-oriented country. Just like Portugal, France.
Dictators over there.
Armenia, Japan.
They got them dictators.
Iran, San Marino.
You want some taters?
Ethiopia,
we got dictators.
Not the United States. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm. Glossed right over dictators, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with dictators.
That's one of the topics that Nick does not want to cover. Dick.
Which one?
Just dick.
Taters. Just taters. We got them dictators.
What do you think of UBI, Universal Basic Income?
This came up in a Kyrgyzstan episode or whatever, right?
Kyrgyzstan.
Come on, dude. I got it. They actually listen to the podcast all the time. I get direct messages all the time. He's always saying he would send some money to us, and I'm always like, nah, that's cool. And then he's like, we could help you draw tiny birds on your page. And I'm like, no, we don't need it, man. We don't need the birds. We're good, man. We're good. They start talking like a bird. I don't even know why. Anyway, they're good guys over there. You should check out their videos. When you're done, donate to our Patreon.
I don't think I ever thought or wanted to copy his voice.
I just did it on a whim there. That was pretty good, right?
Like, yeah, that was decent. I don't even know how I would do it.
Damn, now I'm thinking about it. I can't even do it again.
Yeah, no.
What a universal basic income would mean to us as Earthlings. I can't do it now. I messed myself up. I'm thinking about it too much.
So UBI?
Anyway,
It's a
UBI actually
basic
sounds
amount that everyone gets.
Now here, I was thinking of this while I was taking a pee earlier. A pee in the loo. It should be enough to cover food, water, and like a flip phone and electricity in your house, and like one more thing I'm missing. $100 for a car,
food, shelter, water.
Oh yeah, I forgot shelter. God damn it, that's like the most expensive one.
And
I mean, we'd have to break
to get
it
a
down.
job. So I don't. Do you think that just shifts the prices?
Really,
so like, if you're landlords, if you have a megacorp that owns most of the land and I guess apartments in the country, don't you think they just like raise their prices a little bit
by that number?
Yeah,
literally by that number.
I think they.
I mean, there's going to be slumlords that have to keep that number because they know they're getting all that essentially free money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the tenants are going to pay it because they need to live somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know that
you're going to get the shittiest tenants. It kind of doesn't. But that's in a capitalist society where the market can change and charge what they want. That's terrible. I hate that idea. You will never be happy in a capitalist society. Because do you know where the rich make most of their money? Off the poor.
That's true.
Think about it. I mean, it's a little bit like energy in the universe. You can't create it from nothing. You have to take it from somewhere else.
Do a delta.
Existing energy. Oh, delta. Baby, I just got hard.
Suck the life out of people.
You do. I mean, money has to come from somewhere. You don't just create it. So people with means tend to exploit people without means. And that's what happens in capitalism more than anything else.
I feel like you're going to go in a direction, but I don't remember what that direction was.
I think we're going to talk about universal basic income. And before that, we're going to talk about, do we want socialism at all? Do we want to go straight capitalism? Do we want to go straight anything? I don't know. All these things suck. Listen, for the past week and a half or a week or whatever, I've been reading about Marxism and social progress driven by production and state power, usually transferred by whatever, and Marxist, Leninist, and capitalism and warning, and there's Christian communism. That's my favorite one. Christian communism. That's a real group. Check it out. Yeah, they're great. Join them up.
What? Religiously based communism? I guess communes and cults are the same sort of thing, right?
Right. But what's weird is they kind of seem at odds. Jews for Jesus a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like, whoa, what's going on here? Seem a little off, or something's going on.
Wild, wild country.
What's wild, wild country? I actually don't
know. The Bagwan.
The what one?
The Bagwan?
No, I don't know what that is.
You don't know Sheila? No.
Break it down for me.
So there was a guy in India that was founding a religion who left his country because I guess he was being not extorted, but he had some debts he had to pay. So he came to like someplace like Montana, I would say, someplace in the Midwest area.
Maybe I do know this story. Keep going.
He started building his own commune. People started coming in.
Is this a Netflix special?
It most certainly is.
Hell yes. I saw the first 4 episodes. It's like 6 episodes long. I didn't see the last 2.
Yeah.
What happened to him? Yeah, they started wearing the same thing. They were going to the town. They were like building up like crazy.
They were terraforming.
Like 800%. They were literally, oh my God. And then they had so many people they could control the popular vote of the city.
They imported the poor and homeless so that they could then take over that county.
Damn, I recall this. So keep going. What happened at the end? Because I didn't see the last 2 episodes.
In the end, there was so he had a hench person that was, her name was Sheila.
The girl?
She started imposing on all types of people in the town. They tried to take over the town, have their own police. And the separation of church and state made it so that they could not continue to be an entity. So they had violated one of the constitutional rights of separation.
Their own rule. Oh, damn.
Yeah, which then made them susceptible for investigation. And then I think they found that they were doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like when they bring the
Oh,
homeless
there were
people
like
in,
sex tapes and
yeah, they would drug them to keep them complacent because they were
hell yeah.
mostly agitative. So
Mhm.
they did like a mass drugging of people. They spiked the beer.
Awesome.
That's how it would work. But
Hmm.
it was kind of crazy that they had like their own little society. They had their own little like almost like a Woodstock. They had like a Bhagwan party. It was impressive what they did, but also very scary because the people that were being squashed by them had no choice in what was happening.
No, those people did not want them in there.
Mm-hmm.
They were wearing a certain color clothing or whatever, and like you could see them walking down the street in Montana. I think it was Montana.
Red. It was red.
Interesting.
Huh.
Interesting. Better red than dead, I say.
Yeah. Commie. What was it? Conman.com.
CommieComradeCon.com. CommieComrade.com.
CommieComradeCon.
It's a tongue twister. CommieComradeCon.com.
Just do cccc.com.
No, you have to type it out. And the coupon code better be spelled right. It's better red than dead, not better red than dead. Okay? Folks at home, I want to bring this all full circle. I just don't know.
Wrap it up.
Where do you want to go?
Touch everything. What didn't we touch? Did we miss touching anything? We mentioned Michael Jackson, so we did touch most of it.
And he touched everything we didn't. What?
We didn't talk about the Luddites and technology. We did a little bit. Like the internet and stuff will break down communism because people find out that they're missing out. And the system they're in is shit. They'll try to change the system. So like that's what you're talking about with Marxism. Well, Marxism won't force its own change based on social norms. Right?
Makes sense. I don't disagree with that. What about capitalism? We didn't spend like any time on it. I mean, everyone knows what it is. It's a free market. You can buy what you want to buy, folks. You can sell what you want to sell, folks. If it's good, it'll sell. So if it's worth its weight in gold, it'll sell.
So like the free market is best explained, probably going to bite me in the ass, but the complication of like the stock market, like the open market, is like providing something to people and making it available for purchase for a price. If people buy it, then you're successful. If people don't buy it, then you have to renegotiate your price with the people and say, can you buy it for this? Which is the same thing that happens with stocks. People negotiate all the time, setting the price for something. So it's really like the populace choosing what something's worth. If you have an entity...
So it's a popular vote a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like a people's vote. They say it's very democratic. It's very the people.
Exactly.
But there are benefits to owning a super company, a super stock. You can manipulate pricing. You can
avoid taxation.
Interestingly enough. So in capitalism, the bigger you are, the more people you can bribe, the more of the free market you can kind of manipulate so that your product ends up cheaper, easier to purchase, more readily available than the other ones.
And
people say, "Badoom, that's mine."
I think that it's built that way so that our corporations are really competitors to communistic countries, because it's an entity that doesn't have a person per se to it, but it can be as large as it can successfully be. So, like, if you get a worldwide corporation, you think it's bigger than a nation. I think, like an Apple or Google or etc. They can be larger and beyond the bounds of the United States, but still be located in the United States.
Here's the thing that's going to happen, though. A company as big as Google, Microsoft, all these, you can only get so big and move your entire body so quickly. Speed of reaction will determine the future, I think.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. More speed. Here, I'll put it this way. Speed of reaction will be the only downfall to these companies. I mean, whether people take advantage of that or not, I have no idea. But a company like Google can't change their infrastructure in 48 hours. Like, can you imagine that? If Google just changed their color scheme, the way they did business, and their their motto and everything in 48 hours. It would be impossible. They couldn't do it. They're too big. Think about it. What if they did all their slogans on all their websites, all their things? They changed their color scheme. They changed the way their letters are done. They changed. I mean, they could do one of these things in a planned thing 6 months out. They couldn't do it in 48-hour span. Like if it turned out, whoa, the colors green and red mean you molest kids. And Google was like, uh-oh, I got to talk to management. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, to segue, like Japan.
Yeah, go ahead.
They love to reconstruct their infrastructure.
Oh, God. Thank God. I really was like, this is the worst. Good Lord. I just need them.
I don't know what you were thinking, but have you ever seen them like reconstruct a road? Like they'll completely change a highway overnight. And like,
do they?
Mm-hmm.
That's badass.
Like they have it so synchronized.
We can't do that here.
No.
It would take 9 years to approve it, 4 years to get it ready, and 30 nights to do it. Right?
Yeah. So that's it's kind of impressive that much can go into it, but that it's a difference of like technology versus like a physical thing. Like the physical thing you can build with communism, but the technological advances, I don't know that you can build with communism.
Interesting. So you're breaking communism. It's weird. So these things we're talking about, communism, socialism, capitalism, they're not just economic things. They're political. They're physiological. They're like economic. They're like technological. I mean, they're ideas that affect, like certain ones are better at technology. Certain ones are better at the physical stuff. Mm-hmm. Like communism seems to be pretty good at that. I mean,
yeah, like digging ditches.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
If you want to dig the biggest ditch in the world, you probably want to be communist.
The Super Cola borehole.
Yes.
128 kilometers straight deep. That bad boy can dig. It can dig and dig.
Yeah.
It's the deepest hole in mankind's history. It's actually been surpassed by a tube line in somewhere else ish. I'm doing this off of a year and a half ago of research. Super Cola borehole.
Cola super deep borehole. What's the?
Thank you. Please. It's in Russia.
Yeah. 12,262 meters, 7.2 miles deep, and it's in Russia, I think.
It is in Russia. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm only pretty sure now. Anyway, that thing is literally. They built the deepest hole.
Apparently, Kola is a city. It's in Russia. Kola, Russia.
Oh, okay, good. No. I mean, shout out Russia. I mean, we're all for digging the deepest hole to find the craziest microbiomes. We're here to find
unleash the viruses that are held within the crust of the earth.
They found water down there where they think they didn't. The temperature is so hot. It's
50
crazy.
Shades of Gray plague. Coming to a town near you.
Ooh, we should use this picture right here. What I'm doing right here. This is like sexy. Can you snapshot that?
You can later on your own time.
That's too long. No, I don't have time. Anyway, folks.
We are good.
Capitalism, communism, socialism, comrade.com.
Do you think it's weird that they chose red?
No,
red makes you hungry.
No. So hold on.
In most communist countries, they don't feed their own people.
It's from the French Revolution.
Ah.
The red flag. It became a symbol of revolt and like revolution. So they used that and it just became synonymous. Better red than dead. The Red Army. The Flyers beat the Red Army. I don't know if you guys recall. You're too young.
Iron Curtain. Anyway. Berlin Wall.
Iron Curtain.
World War I.
Correct. Do you remember the star?
The star?
Yeah, the red star. It's in the background of all these things.
What do you mean?
Really? All right. So the hammer and sickle was for like reaping and sowing and like right, the working class, which is it's kind of badass. There's a 5-pointed star. It's the red star.
Yeah.
It was the last thing I researched before this episode. It had to do with a science fiction novel about Mars. I couldn't remember further than that. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
That's weird. It had to do with, who knows? Anyway, folks, research it yourself. Go do some homework. We're going to leave you with a little...
Wow.
That's the last part of the episode. As the Unpanners, we have a new segment called
the Red Army military
Homework.
Service. So it
did,
was
but
militarily
there's like a whole,
associated with...
No, there's like a... No, keep going. This guy's not showing you the truth. I'm showing you guys the truth. I'm showing you
It was
behind
the
scenes
pinnacle.
footage of
Like,
the
they had,
Unpanners.
like, almost... I would say eagle's wings if you're in America, but it's wheat in Russia. Like, the eagle's wings of wheat would rise to the star. So I think the red star is actually the government.
But I think it's a symbol taken from another symbol, kind of like the Nazi, what the hell's the thing called? The bent cross was taken from an old pagan thing. I think it's taken from another symbol, taken from another symbol, taken from another symbol. Anyway, red was called their French Revolution. They went with it because it was revolution. They started it in World War I or whatever when they took that flag. And anyway, it's pretty badass.
You gotta love Wikipedia. It provides us with a lot of knowledge. Especially knowledge on non-5-pointed red stars, which there's a part of that page.
There's a whole
3-pointed stars.
Maybe see what's going on with some 3-pointed stars. Maybe go see. Either way,
we had a good episode.
Check all this stuff out.
Yeah.
It was good.
I like having creativity in my life. I like sharing it with Nick here on an internet built with American technology.
Capitalism, baby.
Yeah. Paying for an internet that is kind of shitty and cuts out every now and then. That's okay.
That's communism.
Yeah. Because I don't think they had that communism.
My hair looks like Bryce Harper's hair.
It's like Communism Cuba. They say the internet is sparse and there's no real means of getting out on it.
Good point. Good point.
So,
folks, we talked about Karl Marx. We talked about
Michael
the Bolshevik Revolution. Leninist.
Socialism.
We talked about how he touched kids.
Yeah.
We talked about Marxism. We talked about the Soviet Union. We talked about
dystopia,
better red
Thomas More
than dead. Marxism, McCarthyism. Listen to my lips, folks. Christian communists.
Cults.
Check them out. Cults. We talked about free money for everyone. Yeah, freeloaders.
Universal basic income, healthcare.
Universal basic income.
Welfare.
Here at
Social Security.
Kazakhstan, if
Section
a black
8.
hole took up the size of a sun, it would actually include 14 meters. Was that good? I don't know. I think I did better that one time.
The first time you tried it, you were in the zone. Medicare,
I have no idea how to do
Medicaid,
that.
education,
Medicaid.
food stamps, social programs, military protection.
We talked about the military for like an hour. We talked about police.
Yeah.
We talked about police force with Kim Jong-un. If he's listening,
Oh, yeah.
check our
Grocery
check our
stores.
socials. Hold on. This is a shout out to Kim
Picking
Jong.
your teeth.
If he's-
Bigelow multi-pack. if you're
if you're
of that.
if you're into that, or whatever else those people are into.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un, if you're listening tonight, I want to give you a shout out. I don't approve of communism. I don't approve of any of your stuff. You want to come on our show? We'll do an episode. We talk with you. We talk the talk. Everything else. Our Patreon's down here. Our socials here. We got websites. We got stuff you can click. We got stuff you can check out. If you like it, check it out. Folks, we like you. We like you a lot.
A lot. It's true.
Check it out. CZECH. Check it out. Communism. Thanks for joining us tonight. Seriously.
Good night.
I enjoyed it.